Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Chris and Dan Show. Glad to have you here with us today. We have a special guest, Chad Price, and Chad specializes in, I believe, entrepreneurship. He wrote a book. The book, what's the book title here?
Preparing for battle.
Preparing for Battle. So, Chad, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and the book?
Sure. I am from a small town in Texas, graduated from Rice University where I played football there. Went into corporate America for a little while before, I really decided, hey, if I'm gonna jump into entrepreneurship, it's kind of now or never. Um, Jumped in, started a few different businesses. My most notable business, Kettlebell Kings, we recently sold in the end of 2021 in like a 3-year acquisition deal. And so I culminated that journey with my book and kind of giving people advice and really kind of laying out more of a mindset that's needed for entrepreneurship. I think a lot of people struggle with adapting from the responsibilities and the intensity level of, whatever job or employment that they had in the past and transitioning that to kind of designing your own schedule and your own kind of setting your own bar, if you will, of what it takes to be successful when you're the main source of energy. So I try to get people in that correct mindset, and I think preparing for battle is a good way to kind of frame that concept.
Yeah, that's an excellent way to put it. I think you could use that for a number of different uh, positions in your life, right? Playing for Rice, got to prepare for battle there too, right?
For sure.
Um, what? I'm just curiosity. Dan and I both follow football. What position you play?
I played strong safety.
Ah, very nice, very nice. Definitely got to prepare
Yeah.
for battle there.
I knew
For
it. You
sure.
could have asked me to guess. I would have guessed safety. Just the build, everything like you look like safety.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right, so your acquisition, you said that took about 3 years.
Well, that no, it was a 3-year deal. So, it was a multi-million-dollar exit, but it was a 3-year deal that, actually, like basically we get paid out over a 3-year period. So, that process is still quote unquote going on. And now I'm transitioning into the other companies that I've started, one of them being Life Grows Green, which is a natural lifestyle company where we sell products that fit basically natural products in anyone's lifestyle. So that is like hemp and CBD based products, but then also products like bedding and glassware and any kind of lifestyle product that you can think of. My goal is to really design a community of people that want to replace pharmaceutical or processed or commercial plastic items throughout their home with natural objects.
Nice. Um, I don't know if you can delve too deeply into the acquisition part of it. Dan and I are currently pursuing acquisition for a company. Um, again, I speak freely, but I'm curious, what does that look like? So you said 3 years. I assume, correct me if I'm wrong, 50%, something like that paid, and then the rest delved out over those 3 years. What does it look like specifically, if you can get
Sure.
into
I
it?
mean, obviously I have to have some respect for my partners and things like that. But,
Certainly.
basically, we entertained several different offers when we decided to go down the road of quote unquote selling. And really, when we were going down that road, we were looking for inventory financing, and a lot of the offers for financing or some type of investment, they wanted some type of ownership. We got a bunch of kind of interest in people wanting to buy either majority ownership or complete ownership of the company. And so once we decided amongst ourselves that we were going to completely sell the company, we started looking at different offers. Some of the offers were more upfront offers where, you are getting, let's say, 80% of the cash up front, and then there's 20% in incentives and things like that on the back end. And then there's other offers where it's almost a merger somewhat where, it can be as little as 20% upfront, but then there's huge incentives on the back end, especially as the company grows and you see more success. So you might have like EBITDA bonuses or double or multiples on EBITDA, and that's one of the common things that you're seeing from the aggregators now is you get offers that have multiples on your growth of the EBITDA, and then those are the large payouts in the future.
Yeah, that's absolutely what we're entertaining
Yeah.
currently. We've spoke with a couple of venture capitalists and things of that nature. It's definitely based on the EBITDA. So
Yeah.
you wrote a book that I assume delves into this a little bit more deeply, both the building of the business as well as the selling of the business. Um, what else does the book speak on?
I I think it gives you a little bit about, my story. Like, I think I've always wanted to write a book even before I started, becoming an entrepreneur, quote unquote entrepreneur. But I was like, what would I write it about? I could write it about football. I could write about my
Hmm.
personal life growing up in a small town. We won the state championship when I was 16. So like
Wow, nice.
I have some great sports stories. I played every sport under the sun growing up. This is pre-internet, pre-social media. So my life was like 12, 15 hours outside every single day. And then you go and sleep and you come back out and you go play sports all day again. So I think that generation has kind of passed, and that's not really the common thing now for most adolescents and kids growing up. So I try to talk about using basically your experiences of growing up. I think we all have different experiences. I think different generations are going to have different experiences, but we all have had opportunities to see businesses perform throughout our lives or teams perform well throughout our lives. We've had opportunities to see, whether it's a teacher or a parent or someone else's parent be great leaders. And I think when you really become responsible and you want to be the leader of your team, of your business, you have to really start thinking about how you can bring all those things together and make them a part of your experience and make them a part of the way that you kind of lead your team. So I might do it through sports and health and fitness, and you may do it through, your emotional empathy and your, ability to connect with people. Everyone I think has kind of a different life experience that allows them to bring the best values to their leadership that they can.
Okay, so I have to take issue with something you said there.
Sure.
Uh, you don't look anywhere near my age. I can fully relate to only being able to play outside because that's all there was to do. There was no
Well,
electronics. You look more
yeah.
like Dan's age to me, where you have plenty of electronics to play with.
Not at all. I graduated high school in 2002, so there was like I was the first person in my family to get a computer. Like I was showing my family, like, hey, this is the internet. I remember like the free discs where you would get it, and you get free internet minutes and things like that. So,
Oh yeah, yeah,
I honestly I tell everyone like I feel like our generation and even your generation is kind of like the first AI, the first version of AI, because we actually knew what it was like prior to any kind of connection and any type of let's say automated assistance to our thinking process and decision making process. And now we're just completely plugged in. It's almost like the second version of us when you're looking at these new AI systems.
certainly. Um, and curiosity, what do you find more challenging? Preparing for sports, right, especially at the collegiate level, or entrepreneur, right? Building your business. Which do you find more challenging, more difficult too?
Um, I think the entrepreneurship is just a longer grind. I think sports you kind of know earlier if you got it or if you don't. I think you find out pretty soon if you have potential to be, LeBron James level, NBA level, or if you're, good enough to go to college, good enough to, win locally, however that is. But with entrepreneurship, I think it's a much longer grind, and um, getting to a point where you have enough cash flow to even feel comfortable to let the business kind of run itself, I think is a milestone that can take 1 year and it can take 10 years to get to. So I probably would have to lean towards entrepreneurship just because it's so unpredictable and there's no real way to measure your current status based off of where you need to be in order to be successful.
Well, in terms of sports, not everybody has the gifts to succeed,
For
or
sure.
maybe they don't have the mental, I guess, drive to succeed. Right? It's a combination of both. There's drive and talent. Um, I think anybody, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I think anybody could potentially succeed as an entrepreneur. It's really more of the mental capability of dealing with the stresses, and the dedication, right? There's no necessarily gift as there is with sports. Um, of course, some people may be more gifted in terms of success, right? Making the right choices. But I think anybody is capable in terms of building a business. I don't know.
Yeah,
What do you think?
yeah, no, I would agree with that, and I think that's kind of what I talk about. You know, when I say using your personal experiences, I think sports is my experience, and I think that gives me somewhat of an advantage over people who haven't played maybe as competitively as me. You know, I'm a very competitive by nature. You know, I remember having my first sales job and watching other people, you know, really struggle with being told no all day, and for me, that was normal. Like my coach told me no all the time when I did something wrong. You know, it was not a big deal to be rejected and to want to get better and to self reflect on a daily basis. Like that's pretty much what football is. You watch your film every day. And you talk about how you could have done better. So uh, those types of experiences for me help me make better business decisions and help me overcome obstacles faster. I think if you haven't gone through things like that in your life, whether that's sports or something else that give you those kind of micro battles, it's really hard kind of in that first year of entrepreneurship, just because it can be so many problems and they're all your responsibility, even when they're not your fault.
Yeah, I definitely like the way you frame that.
Yeah, I
Dan,
agree. That the making money as an athlete or a musician compared to making money as just a practical business person, even self-employed, you don't have to get that sophisticated to have a self-sustaining, self-employed income. And a lot of kids, there's nothing wrong with striving to be a professional athlete. I wanted to be a baseball player when I was growing up, and then for some reason I thought I was going to get a college scholarship playing basketball. Didn't happen, but if I would have focused my efforts on building a business earlier, and I got started relatively early, but even earlier, I may have had an extra Bitcoin or two. And that's that's something you can actually take home, right?
Yeah.
I think we need to stress that, and I love that people like you are out there becoming role models for the younger generation. But these days, everyone wants to, and now the new thing's influencer, like, oh, I'm gonna be a TikTok influencer. Well, chances are you're not, because the rule of numbers is against you. So
Yeah.
we gotta prepare for battle, people.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
gotta
And
get
I
the
mean,
book too. I gotta read the book.
sure. I mean, I think, the book is a good foundation for people who are looking to kind of start that journey, and build the confidence. And I think, more importantly, the mindset and vision need to lead people into that journey. So how do you create a community of people around a brand? I think you have to kind of think that out before you start. And a lot of people, a lot of people that I see don't succeed haven't really simulated in their mind what's going to kind of be that overall connection between the customer and them. So, with the fitness company, it's more than just the product itself. It's a community. It's a culture that you're trying to create, and I think that starts with you and kind of how you carry yourself, how you plan on leading people, how you plan on interacting with other businesses and vendors and things like that.
So Chad, I gotta ask you, all right, Rice, playing football at Rice, that's nothing to sneeze at. When did you realize you weren't gonna make it pro? Like, was it early on at Rice
Well,
or later?
I mean, not at all. I mean, I was pretty good at Rice. My senior year was the first year we went to a bowl game in like 40 something years or something like that. So my class was good. I was pretty good at Rice. I started 42 games straight there. So, I had a good Rice career. Even after Rice, I played arena football, and then I also played
Okay.
in what was currently the All American Football League was the name of it at the time. So it was like the XFL of that particular
Okay.
time period. That league, I was a franchise player for the team in Texas, with players like who was on the team. Oh, man, what's his name? Crouch was on the team. It was a couple
Really?
of players from UT, but literally 2 days into what was supposed to be the beginning of the season, the entire league folded, and that was,
Fuck.
yeah, that was my moment. So yeah,
Wow.
that was my moment. It was supposed to be $100 for like eight, I mean, I'm sorry, $100, $100,000 contract. for like 8 games
Wow.
over 3 months. So, my plan was to do that. If I get into the NFL, great. If I don't, I'm gonna start my kind of entrepreneur or business career either way. And I was
Okay.
already working at the time regardless. So for me, even if I made it to the NFL, I knew that was going to be an easier way for me to market myself and to build my businesses afterwards. So I've always kind of had that mindset that I was going to be
Yeah.
in business.
And even the average NFL career is what, like not even a year.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Uh,
less than 3 years. So, and that's what I'm saying. I I definitely was not, a first round draft pick for the NFL by no means. But do I think I could have pushed myself and got there? Yeah, I think I could have. But I think I always had the vision to be an entrepreneur, and so I just rolled the punches.
Good for you, man. So Kettlebell Kings, well, tell me more about this because there was a time where I was really into kettlebells. Still swing a few here and there, but what gave you the inspiration to start this? It became an Inc. 5000 company also.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the time, this was 2012. So I was working for an oil and gas company. I had another buddy who I knew from college who was a friend of a teammate of mine, and then another college teammate of mine that were all kind of in different corporate careers. And really, I had a larger network of people who all were in good corporate careers after college. I have a decent network going to Rice and through my kind of football connections. And I realized, at this time, like that, hey, I've kind of climbed up the corporate ladder and I see what it looks like to operate with, the potential roles I would be working with. So, I kind of knew what the next 10 years or 20 years would look like if I really wanted that. And I made the decision that, like, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and this is not the journey that, I see for the next 20 years of my life. And at that point, it was a no brainer because, I kind of have it. It's sitting in front of me. And I decided to, kind of started playing. I reached out to two different, or not two different, probably to 10 different people about trying to start a business. And we ended up with three of us. And I wanted to have kind of a 3-man council that could make speedy decisions and start some type of e-commerce business. Uh,
E-commerce. Okay.
yeah. And then that led to the journey of finding kettlebells and finding that niche. And that was just kind of coincidental timing because kettlebells
Did
are
you,
becoming more popular.
yeah, I remember this time.
Yeah.
2012, Tim Ferriss released that book, 4 Hour Body. And
They're
everybody, I don't know if that's what got me into it.
It was a combination of so many different things. It was really just kind of growing, especially in America. Rogue made it a lot more popular because CrossFit started integrating it with their events and
Ah,
things like that. So
that
it was
too.
it was right around that time, and there was no street level brand, there was no lifestyle brand around the kettlebell, and frankly, there was no all the communities of kettlebell enthusiasts were in these little bitty segments all over the internet. And because we were very tech savvy, kind of having grown up on social media, we were able to see that as an opportunity and say, if we connect every kettlebell enthusiast in the world and become, the ESPN of the kettlebell world, we can sell kettlebells. That's just one product that we can sell, but we can sell more than just kettlebells. We can become kind of a center node for the kettlebell community overall. And there are products that are kind of cult, favorites, if you will, or kind of, like for some reason there's not the same kind of cult following behind dumbbells as there are kettlebells. And when you're able to identify those communities online and tie your brand in association with a positive movement of creating the best royal products, and this is kind of royal quality type of experience, I think it becomes really easy to sell the physical product after that.
And that was the one business that was the 3-year multi-million-dollar acquisition,
Correct.
which
Yeah.
was not that long ago. So you said 2012 and the acquisition was 2021. So that's like almost a 10-year process of
Yeah.
building this business.
It was exactly almost a 10-year process. Even, we were officially established in 2012, but that's when the official paperwork was filed.
Um,
And we closed right at the very end of 2021. So yeah, it was almost exactly 10 years from the start to finish. And that's why I thought it was a good time to write the book. I don't think this is my last book by any means. I enjoyed the journey of even kind of reflecting on that experience and working with an editor who would pose questions to me that made me go think about, okay, well, how did I overcome this? Or, how was I able to deal with the pressures of this particular obstacle? And I think I'll kind of make that as part of my process now. When I reach certain kind of milestones in my journey, I'll just culminate it in a book and I reflect my thoughts there.
Yeah. And well, Chris, I don't want to like hog all the questions, man. It's
No,
Chris
go
and
for
Dan
it.
show. But this is so interesting. I just bought the Kindle, by the way, guys. It's $2.99, so why not get it? That's with inflation. That's 2024 numbers
Yeah,
right there. You can't get
getting
anything
that
for $2.99
exactly.
anymore.
This is definitely not a money making exercise for me. I I look at it like I want to help as many people as possible. I want to get kind of the philosophy and my brand out there, and I look at it as kind of literally just a starting point. I break kind of business down for you into 10 building blocks, but by no means is this book like the Bible to everything you need for starting your own business. It's something that I think will help you put perspective on the mindset necessary to run a business, and then give you some framework to kind of build your philosophy of your leadership around.
So let me ask you a little bit before we move to Life Grows Green, because Chad's a serial entrepreneur. That's his current company. Kettlebell Kings, because that's something that you can talk about from start to finish. What was it about? Like, was this a kind of business where you guys were like, hey, we're all super passionate about kettlebells? Or was it more, it was an ancillary interest because obviously the sports background, the athlete background, and something that was an opportunity? And then how difficult was it to build? Like, what was the most difficult parts of it?
Well, it definitely wasn't like something that we were even fans or enthusiasts of when we started, and I think that was a tremendous benefit for us. I think, fortunately for me, both of my partners are similar to me in terms of kind of lifelong learners, and they want to be experts in anything they put kind of their minds towards doing. So for us, we got to the first couple years was just us completely nerding out and becoming those kettlebell enthusiasts and becoming the experts that we wanted to quote unquote be. So I think the process of going through that journey, documenting that journey, talking with literally every kettlebell expert in the world, getting feedback on every single product. So like, there's not a product that we made; it's a product that we set up systems in order to get feedback from, dozens, if not, up to 100 different people, and then we take that feedback and us as a council would decide, okay, how do we want to implement this type of feedback into our product lineup? So, I think because we weren't quote unquote experts, it allowed us to kind of step back and be an observer of the community and then really tie everybody together. So the kettlebell sport community, the kettlebell hard style community, grandmothers, guys who want to lift 250-pound kettlebells, everybody can come to the same place and get education, entertainment, and really content in general just associated with kettlebells, and something that they can know is kind of vetted in a place that they can trust the information.
250-pound kettlebell. That's the one I curl on the weekends, man. That's easy work.
Easy work, yeah, light work.
That's awesome. So, like, I'm just fascinated by that. So, you guys strategically picked kettlebell for a number of reasons, like all those diagrams with circles colliding and all that stuff. And then you became passionate about it, and you grew it. You found actual community out there. What was the hardest part of growing it? Was it just finding the users, or you said all the users were fragmented and you had to like combine them all?
The hardest part is, understanding I think the customer experience and the customer journey. Our initial assessment, or I think everyone's initial assessment is, I'll get a product, I'll put my name on it, and I'll run an ad, and people will say, yeah, I want that. And that's not the case. That's not how it works at all, especially not in the kettlebell community, where you do have something that's quite a bit more intimidating than a normal lifestyle product.
Yeah.
So an analogy that we would use is, this is kind of like a sword, and people don't just go and randomly buy swords. It's something that you would look at for a while. You would go do your research. Who makes the best swords? Is this the sharpest sword? What types of steel are used in swords, right? Like someone would go on a more in-depth journey than just impulse buy, of a candy bar or something like that. And so really learning that process of what that journey was probably the hardest part. But because we were going on that journey on our own, and we knew we wanted to be the ESPN of the kettlebell world, that just allowed us to aggregate all of the content and then kind of sort through that content and really learn, okay, this type of content really gets engagement, this type doesn't, and build a kind of a production schedule that allows us to kind of funnel leads into a system. And then from those leads, 3, 6 months, even up to a year, you're generating sales down the line.
Yeah, it's interesting because I mean, it seems like it's just a commodity, and like you said, the value is really in educating people and creating the brand because it's not the actual kettlebell that people want at that point. It's something that they trust. And I'm on the website now, so I see they have all kinds of stuff on there. I don't know if you could talk about this, but who ended up acquiring it? Was it a competitor or somebody like an investment group that wanted to take this further?
Well, so there, and I'll speak loosely around this, but basically, we were acquired by an aggregator, and then that aggregator was acquired by another aggregator. As of June of this year, maybe even May of this year, we had to basically seek legal remedies to resolve the kind of confusion between these larger mergers. And so the company right now is owned by a different company than the company that we acquired it, but that was part of basically another merger that is currently being worked out legally.
And they made you guys stay on, you said 3 year as that was part of the contingency, right?
So one of the requirements of the deal was for us to stay on. My part, well, it's 3 of us in total that were part of the business. 2 of us were more day-to-day operations. Our other partner did the kind of financing, bookkeeping side of things. And the 2 of us that were kind of part of the day-to-day operations, they required us to stay on. Since June, I've kind of transitioned. Basically, I was doing consulting for them as just for Kettlebell Kings, but also for the other brands in their portfolio. So I've kind of just done that on my own now, where consulting as well as running kind of Life Grows Green and consulting for other brands and building out my own kind of business portfolio of brands that I'm up.
Perfect. We'll get to Life Greens right now, but as I know a few colleagues of mine that have sold and they hated staying on, for the amount of time that they had to, because they can't work under others well, but it sounds like you're making the most out of it, or at least it's sort of like a consulting agreement, which is a little better maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I could ever be in a situation where I would trade kind of time for money again. Even as a consultant, or it's almost like if I can't be helpful in achieving something that is objective, that we can all kind of agree is this is the beginning and this is where the goal is, then I almost feel like, why am I here in the first place? So I look at a lot of things that I do kind of very project based, so you give me a mission, I'll go achieve that mission and then come back and get another mission. And sometimes I'm obviously having to run multiple missions at once.
The Life Grows Green, that's the next one that you started kind of out of the victory of this Kettlebell Kings.
Yeah, so I started, like I said, several different companies. I owned a nail salon when I started Kettlebell Kings for 8 years as well.
You started the nail salon?
Yeah, I built one from scratch. Yeah.
For all the times I go with my wife, I should own one by now too.
Yeah, you might as well.
Yeah.
So if it's
I'll write that down.
If you're looking for if you're looking for immediate cash flow, a nail salon business is one of the top businesses.
Really?
And yeah, well, any service business like that, nail salon, barbershop, massage studio, because you're cash flow positive almost month one, especially if you market it right and you kind of build up an online buzz. I already knew that I was good at doing that. So I already knew, okay, I can look at Austin and see like oh, there's no nail salon that's really taking advantage of being the best nail art community in Austin. And so my girlfriend at the time was already an artist. She didn't do nails, but she could do art. And so I was like, hey, do you want to go to nail school? She went to nail school while I did the construction. And once the construction was done, we put a team together and she led that team. And we were the best nail salon in Austin for about 8 years up until COVID, where it just didn't make
Wow,
sense to keep it open.
it's fucking fascinating.
And,
I-
and not
But
and not to drive a rusty nail, but you said a former girlfriend, so
no, no,
you
no,
started
no,
a
not
business together.
no, 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 not former girlfriend. Just
Oh, okay.
yeah, no,
I
no,
misheard.
no, no. I was saying my girlfriend, but
Okay.
she just, yeah,
You can get Chet in trouble, man.
yeah, no, yeah. Don't get me in trouble. No, don't get me in trouble. I am in a great relationship.
Okay. There, a nice save.
You still got
Sure.
the nail salon?
No, so I shut the nail salon down during
Oh,
COVID.
COVID. Okay.
Yeah, COVID. I'm sure you guys had similar situations or aware of people who had similar situations with back rent
Absolutely.
and things like that. It was financially didn't make sense to do it. We got caught the timing of signing a new lease and what we owed for back rent and everything. It didn't work out. So
Mm.
and also at the time, Kettlebell Kings was on the Inc. 5000, growing pretty rapidly, and was taking more of my time. So it was just more profitable for me to focus on the sale or the eventual sale of Kettlebell Kings. But
That,
go
I'm
ahead, sorry.
just real quick question. I'm curious because Texas was one of the more open states. Was there a time frame where they were shut down? Because I thought they were pretty much always open. Not to rehash history, but
Oh no, we were shut down quite a while.
were you? Okay.
For almost 2 years. And you're 100% right. Texas is a very open state, but we live in Austin, which is the least open of
Oh,
Texas.
that's
It's
true. That's
Berkeley.
true.
It's
So
Berkeley of
yeah,
Texas.
and
That's
I mean
true.
it was crazy because I mean it would literally be like you'd be in Austin and everybody has masks on, everyone is social distancing, no one is really violating people's space, and then you drive 20 miles outside the city and it's like COVID doesn't exist. And so yeah, that's how it was. But it was bad for business because every business is shut down, so people were kind of just forced to either put up all of these barriers and barricades and try to make it
Yeah.
a social distancing venue, or just kind of remains shut down. And
Man,
the venue that we set up was a lively party like environment where you sat at a bar together and everyone got their nails together and had drinks, and it was
Oh, that sounds nice.
it was
yeah, that's
shots
the
that
kind of
came
place I
around.
need
Yeah,
to go to.
it was a more it was meant to build people together and bring a community. So it was a social club even, and that really wasn't going to work with plastic partitions and marble counters and nice fish tanks and things like that.
Right.
It didn't match.
Might be opportunity there later on.
Yeah, well, it's hilarious because we talk about it now. If we wanted to right now, we could go and take over a nail salon, and we wouldn't even have to go buy one or start one because we could basically sell or finance or find a distress salon to just take over their operation and start from there.
Hmm.
What would like hypothetically, we'll get to Life Grows Green, but let's say you did that day one, what would you do? Like go social media crazy or
Yeah, I mean, most people don't realize the value of just forming a content generating system. And if you have good content, especially original content like we had, which is custom art, I mean, it's like you have unlimited amount of content. So we have too many good nail pictures. We have more than anybody in the world almost. So I would, it's just a matter of formatting it in a way where it's like a magazine. How does it look good? And how do you get the most people in your geographical area? And it's even easier than it is for someone like Kettlebell Kings because I can literally focus all my ads and everything on this geographical region. So I go, 20 miles only, and I just hyper target every single creative artistic thing that exists here. We're the nail version of that. We're the most credible, nail personality, the most credible nail university. If you want to learn how to do nails, this is, we do how-to videos on how to do different techniques and styles. So we have competitions where all the girls are trying to do dragon themed nails, and then we get to post all that and people can vote. It's an unlimited system of just creative things that you can do. And I think we have original art pieces that you can use as part of your brand.
yeah, I think what makes sense, but I think the reason most don't do that is because most are owner operators and not owner marketing people. maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and being artistic is hard, and I think that's it's a competitive base as well. And I even got to it was good for me because I got to build two different types of communities online at once. Building Kettlebell Kings is a completely different journey than building a luxury kind of nail art community. But going through that process kind of taught me what to ask people and how to really find the thing that would pull people together versus, just the things that I would be personally interested in. So with the nail art community, we were able to identify specifically who spends, thousands of dollars a month on nails just from social media and just from putting these processes in place. So I was able to know, like, could look at someone's social media profile and be like, yes, like this girl needs to be our customer because I already know how much she's going to spend here.
Life Grows Green. What gave you the inspiration to start this one?
So, well, yeah, so that's the what I guess we were getting to, a long-winded story. But with Kettlebell Kings, we also started another company, which I sold, which is called Living Fit. And that company was everything. It was a fitness university where we hosted our kettlebell certifications and other certifications. So we acquired a battle rope company. We had a battle rope certification. We started building out nutrition. Stretching, basically any type of fitness, educational certification course that you can think of. We wanted to be that digital version of that. That came about partially because we want to expand past Kettlebell Kings, and then also because of COVID, we kind of doubled down on those efforts because they were digital products and the ports and things like that. It was actually hard to get physical products here during that time period. That journey was a 4-year journey that, I sold that company as well when I sold Kettlebell Kings. But the one thing we never really got to touch on was the lifestyle part of, I think, everyday people. And, one of the biggest things that I think hurts people and kind of prevents people from even starting their health and wellness journey is they just don't realize how many lifestyle products that they use that are detrimental to their health. So whether that's the food or supplements that you're intaking to, the things that you're choosing to use on a regular basis, from the soaps and shampoos to the skin treatment to, you can keep going on in terms of things that have natural solutions or natural options or alternatives may be more beneficial to you kind of overall. And so Life Grows Green was made to kind of serve that audience and really try to find as many lifestyle products for people that could help them replace these pharmaceutical or commercial options. And hemp and CBD, especially when we started, was trending very similar to kettlebells. And so the first lineup that you see and a lot of the products you see on there are kind of that original lineup of products that fit that portfolio or that side of the brand. And then the Amazon store is going to be launching here in about a month, and we'll have basically a ton of different lifestyle products that I was mentioning earlier. From I have tons and tons of samples right now in my garage of different teapots and glassware and different bedding and sheets and bamboo products and basically any kind of natural lifestyle product that we can bring out. We're going to be bringing out probably 20 to 30 of them in the next kind of batch of products.
We did a podcast with someone not too long ago that said basically you want to avoid anything with a nice odor, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much what he said.
It's honestly it's crazy because it is things like that. It's it's odors. It's what they're calling quote unquote flavor and natural flavor. Like there are terms and terminologies and marketing gimmicks that people use to confuse people, frankly. And it's rampant across multiple industries, especially, you can look specifically at the CBD and hemp industry. The products we have is not the same as other people's products, but there's nothing stopping them from calling it the same product. So, there's major quality differences between things that it's hard to identify. And the goal I always have with any brand that I start is you trust that the brand is doing the work for you. And if you want to dive down the rabbit hole with me, yeah, I have that set up. You can go on that journey. You can look at the certificate of analysis and see everything that's in there. And you can look at the lab reports of what the farm is using. You can find this information should you want it. But more importantly, I want it to be a part of the culture that we create. It's like, hey, we're trying to do things the right way, and we're trying to bring natural to the forefront of our selection.
So all your products are not based necessarily on CBD and hemp. It's just a matter of being healthy, right?
Correct. Yeah, correct. And
Okay.
and I would say more than healthy is natural because like for example, I think people, there's a stigma around cannabis. I don't think everyone has a healthy relationship with cannabis, but to me, a natural version of cannabis is better than an opioid. I
Oh,
don't,
certainly.
I don't
Uh,
think, I don't think
I'd even argue alcohol.
alcohol. I
If
mean,
you're
alcohol is a
overdoing
perfect
it.
example. Yeah, exactly. Alcohol. I mean, there are. I think as an adult and as a free person on this planet, you should have the option to choose how you want to have an experience and go through life. And I don't think you should be tricked into some commercial interest, or someone should kind of make a buck off of tricking you into a non-natural option when there are natural options that are out there. So I want to be a company that supports those natural options, and the community of people support that idea and try to, put their money and their spending habits towards those types of products.
And CBD and for those who are unaware, CBD and hemp, there is no mechanism for getting you high. There's no THC or very little.
Yeah.
You'd have to pretty much smoke a whole farm of it to if it's CBD, right?
Yeah, and the products that you see online, those are all either zero THC or less than the federal limit. So you're always going to be talking about these are not products to give you that high or that euphoric feeling.
Right.
They are more supplemental products, just like you would have like we have a supplemental hemp powder, hemp protein powder, and things like that. It's definitely like on more on the supplement side.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I think Dan has a question, but I am curious about something. Listening to you as you've spoke, and I'm gonna sound like an old man here, and you probably both gonna agree
It's
with
all
me. And
right
so,
because you are.
no, I'm not. And you're probably both gonna agree, and you're gonna sound old too. But the current generation seems to lack motivation or drive to me, right? Again,
Right, old man.
so I'm curious, Chad, that how much do you think athletics played into, motivation and drive for you? And do you think there's something behind that for the modern generation? They're not out there. It's way less kids than it used to be, right? I would say probably in the realm of 20% of the amount of kids from your generation and earlier that are out playing sports and doing other activities outside. They're all behind their computers and their PlayStations, right? And just doing nothing inside other than that crap. So do you think sports was a drive, or do you attribute it to something else?
I mean, I would probably go a little further than most people go when advocating for sports. I think every kid should kind of be forced to play sports as part of, that experience of growing up. I don't think that you have to be LeBron James or, you have to be Kobe Bryant and spend every waking hour in perfecting your game. But I think having the ability to play on a team and achieve an objective that's bigger than you, and you not being necessarily the best person and having to play your part in a bigger thing is, I think that's done through sports. I don't know many other things that give you kind of that real world type of experience where you're emotionally invested and everyone else is emotionally invested, and you win some, you lose some, but you come back and fight another day. I think that hardens you somewhat to go through life a little bit better. And I think, when you see, even all the way to, people who are having depression and things like that, I think it's because they don't necessarily have a clear understanding of reality because they haven't experienced any competitive environment until it's like, okay, now the real game's here. Either you figure it out or you're homeless. I think that's too
Yeah.
severe of a jump. And I think sports bridges that gap a lot for a lot of kids. And I know people who they knew they weren't going to be the best player on the team, and they were still supportive of the team. And I think part of that is learning that in life, and finding a way just to be helpful is I think a benefit.
Well, I think sports makes the person that's participating, they have to invest both mentally and physically,
Mhm.
where you're sitting in your bedroom. There is no real physical investment, right?
Yeah.
And as you said, oftentimes you're not the best, and you have to learn to relate to that, right? And there's so many learning experiences in sports, and I think motivation and drive is definitely one of them, or
Yeah.
two of them.
I mean, I went overboard. So I played every sport. You know, I played literally tennis, baseball, soccer, track, basketball. I would play volleyball if there was a team. You know, I literally play every sport, and I wasn't the best at every sport. I was pretty good at some, better at others. Football, you know, probably one of the better that I was. But like, I remember things from playing tennis when I was little, like getting my butt whooped by some kid who was way less athletic than me and way less gifted of an athlete than I was, and could just outskill me and just was way better of a player than I was. And you know, I think learning that lesson for me taught me things. It wasn't about
Absolutely.
the tennis. It wasn't about the ball, the racket. It was about learning that, you know, I need to be able to self-assess and have awareness of who I am and how competitive and good I am at things, and what things I'm not good at, and who I need to work with to get good at things. Like it opened my mind to to a more realistic world for me to actually achieve my goals. And I think that's what sports can do for a lot of people, where even in the losses, you learn so much that, you know, you wouldn't learn from sitting at home. You wouldn't learn it from video game. You know, it's
I
just
agree.
impossible.
Now
So,
they're doing esport. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
so just to make sure I can confirm, you both sound old. So would you agree that the current generation is missing those attributes?
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, that's part of
There
the
you go.
reason.
He's
Yeah,
old. You're old too,
yeah,
Dan. You
We're
agree?
all
yeah.
old.
I
We're
guess
all old.
yeah. I mean, the book is called "Preparing for Battle" because I'm trying to say that in a nice way. Like, hey, guys, if you,
Well, here's
especially the people that want, you know, I don't think everyone has to be as intense as everyone else.
No, certainly not.
I think the people that want to be leaders, you want to be a multi-millionaire, you have these ambitious goals and dreams. I think you need to calibrate yourself accordingly. I don't think that you can just go and think like, oh, I'm just going to be the soft one of the, you know, of the
Yeah,
millionaires. I think
absolutely.
there is a toughness and a grit that comes with wanting to be a leader and wanting to lead other people and have the responsibility of a brand, and, you know, every employee and investor behind that.
well,
So
here's the
most,
way I see it. Because
sorry, one last thing real quick, Dan.
yeah,
So in my opinion, most dreams can be realistic, but the one that has this dream has to calibrate accordingly, right?
Yeah.
If you have a dream of being president, right, which I don't know why anybody would have that dream, but if you do,
Vivek 2024.
sure.
Yeah.
But if you do, you have to calibrate accordingly. You can be president, right?
Yeah.
But boy, you better be ready for the battles,
Yeah.
as your book would imply.
Yeah.
So
Well, the way I see it, like actually speaking of books, this book, Fourth Turning, I don't know, you guys can't see it, but Fourth Turning, it breaks it down like what you, Chris, and Chad were just talking about. We're coming out of a era where everyone's more well-rounded. Like Chad said, he played, you know, he's my age, so he played every sport. That was like me too. Nowadays, everyone's hyper specializing because the world is like so niche now, and the benefit is you can find success much earlier. The downside is you're going to fail much earlier and not be well-rounded. And that's why we're seeing, in my opinion, more mental illness, depression. You know, you've got these kids thinking now they're going to be Mr. Beast or the next esports person, but they never leave their house to go play catch. So they're not well-rounded. It's just that's all they have. It's like I'm either going to succeed or I'm not at this one thing. Whereas where we grew up, and you call us old or whatever, we had more things to experiment with, and we learned, hey, I could go out here and get my ass kicked in football, get my ass beat, right? But then I would go do something else, and I would say, hey, this is not as bad as getting my ass beat over there. This is better, you know. And then like your failures become easier to take because you've experienced more things. Whereas now everyone's just trying to hyper focus. Parents are pushing their kids into one thing and not to be well rounded. But in this book, Fourth Turning, they said once we get out of this fourth turning, this crisis, we're entering this crisis mode. We're going to go back to the well rounded people because the next generation is going to say, well, I grew up fucking depressed as shit because I wasn't well rounded. So I'm going to have my kids be well rounded. But this generation is kind of screwed. Like these Gen Z Alpha, they're screwed. The ones after them gonna be okay again, I think.
Yeah, I'm hoping you're right, I should say. I think I was fortunate to see social media for what it was from the beginning. Social
Mm.
media, like I remember being in college and being like the first person at my college or of the first people to get a Facebook page. And I was like, man, I'm gonna really run a business with this one day. I cannot wait. And this is going to manipulate them, not me. It's going to manipulate them. But I think there's a generation of people who don't realize that, and they grew up in a system where being the best in your city, being number two, number three in your city means something in a mediocre or some non-existent way, just because you can promote it socially and get some type of emotional feedback from the engagement you get from being, a decent athlete. Whereas in our generation, there was no such, like, I had to earn a scholarship by going and playing against other kids in front of coaches, and it was like either
Yeah.
you made it or you didn't. There was no such thing as well, he saw me on social media. Like, no, he didn't see me on social media. He saw me
Yeah.
because I had to travel somewhere and I had to beat other kids, and I had to put myself in a situation to be competitive against other people. And a lot of people avoid that now. So, I think more than just even they hyper specialize, they also don't compete in the areas to where they hyper specialize. So you're like, yeah, you're hyper specialized in this, but you don't travel to compete against other people who specialize in this. So you're really not that good. You're just doing that as kind of a feel good exercise versus really trying to build yourself for the journey of life and what's gonna be required.
Agree, actually, 100%. And the kind of competition is unhealthy. So it's no longer like
Yeah,
a productive outcome.
yeah,
It leads to, like, I have employees, they're Gen Z, whatever the new one is, and I hear them talking amongst themselves. They have no business to promote. They're my employees. They're talking about how many people viewed their story compared to other days. So now, like,
yeah,
they're just a microcosm of this is what everyone's doing their age and lower. They're competing for extreme posts. So the
yeah,
more extreme you can get, and for girls that leads to OnlyFans, basically.
yeah.
And for guys it leads to unrealistic, like, let me pretend this is my private jet or my sports car type of thing.
Yeah.
But the competition is there, but it's not a productive.
Yeah. And even that was kind of the beauty of building a community. And I think I was self-aware enough, and my partners as well, to realize that we have to differentiate between the people who can't see reality for what it is and people who are just looking for likes and engagement, and people who are actually business professionals. And when you build those strategic alliance of business professionals who are also kettlebell enthusiasts, who are also experts and credible, then it's almost like we have a team of credibility, and you have, a bunch of, I want to be famous. Can I post this with my thong and
Yeah.
get likes? Does it work? And I
Yeah.
think it makes it easier for someone like myself to really see, like, okay, well, you're not a real business. Yeah, I'm going to focus on people who are kind of business professionals.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
amazing. We can go for 2 more hours if we wanted to. But Chris, do you
Yeah.
have any more questions, or you want to like spring up the?
Well, Chad's been nice enough to provide us with an hour of his time. Can you do another 10 or so minutes, Chad?
Sure. Yeah. No. Yeah. I'm good on time.
Okay, good. So, Dan and I have a bit of a game we play, right?
Okay. All
So,
right.
so when we started this channel a few years ago, initially we were just reacting to videos. Um, so we like to put our guests on these podcasts on the spot
Okay.
and have them recommend. Everybody likes music, so give us a song that's kind of on top of mind for you right now, something you like listening to. Also, if you can, something you don't think Dan and I have heard.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you haven't heard what I would listen to, so
All right,
Let's go.
yeah,
Let's
I
go.
listen, I listen to underground rap. So like, I'm like,
Oh, me too.
underground.
yeah, so like lyrical guy,
Well,
like I like nothing that you would ever hear on the radio.
that's
You'd
That's
have to
me.
like know this
that,
artist and follow the artist, and then yeah, his mixtape is
that's
out, and you can get his new freestyle. Like that's the kind of stuff I'd listen to. But
that's definitely true of me, but you may not be right with Dan. He actually does
You only
listen to
need
this
okay,
one of
all
stuff.
the
right,
two, so it's enough for a reaction.
all right, all right. Um, there's a guy I like right now called Ransom. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. He's a rapper.
Ransom. Yeah, I know him. Any song you want Chris to listen to?
Anything.
And while you're thinking, I did meet one person in my life, Chris, only one that said they don't like music. And
I don't believe that. I
yeah,
don't
I
see how
didn't
that's
either.
unless they're deaf,
No,
right?
he was
Then
dead
I can
serious.
relate.
He was dead serious. Like he was a gamer. That's all he did was play games. But then it turns
There's
out,
music in the games.
I know, at his wedding, he had the Final Fantasy Cherry Blossom
There you go.
theme
He
song
likes
on.
some sort of music,
He likes
right?
music, yeah. Yeah.
So can I look on my YouTube playlist really quick?
Yeah,
You got
whatever you
something
want.
here? Let me
Look at your
just
playlist, Chris. I can
see
already
what
tell
I'm
Chris will
listening
not
to
like
here.
this, but
Yeah, no, this is what I mean. It's like
the
this is
dumb are
not
mostly intrigued by the drum. This is why we do these reactions, and then we have the link to the whole podcast so that the music people will get it first. And then, but if you want to, actually hear the whole podcast, well, it's underneath this reaction video.
Yep.
And we're with Chad Price right now, who wrote a book that I'm gonna get on my Kindle, Preparing for Battle. Founder of Kettlebell Kings.
Yeah, I
He's looking for a ransom song.
really enjoyed the
no.
conversation.
And this book came out August 23rd, 2023. Congrats. Ranks number 25 in entrepreneurship. 4.9 stars
Oh, that's really
on
good.
Amazon.
Thank you.
I'm just killing time while he's finding a song.
Yeah, no.
First
I
review
don't know
says, through candid anecdotes and actionable insights, crafts a compelling roadmap. There you go. It's a verified purchase.
There you
Scott B. Allen. Shout out to you, Scott B. Allen. Another one is Marnie, a beacon of inspiration. We can keep going. There's just tons of 5-star reviews.
Well, I'm gonna sidetrack Chad while he's searching.
No,
So
I found the song. I mean, I listened to a bunch of his songs, but I'm trying to find a song that is less gangster than others. Let's say.
That'd be a wise choice for Chris. You can go more gangster. I like Jedi
no.
mind
So
tricks and
I mean, so I like people who can. Basically paint a picture with their words. It's not really dependent upon necessarily the beat. It's literally like they're just trying to kind of be the Picasso of their lyricism. So this guy is one of those people that he's always been a lyricist and a person that's actually trying to like speak something when he's rapping. But he has a couple of different mixtapes. The one that I'm listening to right now is a song called "The Powers That Be" by Ransom.
there you go, Dan.
Powers That Be. Okay. This sounds interesting as hell.
So what's
sound
the
like
next?
some Jedi mind tricks, like Immortal Technique type of theme song. The Powers That Be, Ransom.
Yeah, I mean, Immortal Technique is not too far off. I would say that's definitely not too far off.
Ransom, The Powers That Be. Here we go. Oh, let me skip the ad and then I'll share my screen. No video, but maybe we found one with lyrics for Chris.
Yeah, Chris needs them.
No, but we'll go with this one. Hey, you know what the ad is? Unbelievable. The ad that came up was Kettlebell Kings on my YouTube because they saw me look at the website.
Retargeting is working.
The retargeting, hey man, you don't need to pay for that anymore, Chad. We're already like on your website. All right, here we go. The Powers That Be, Ransom.
It's still so many people that don't understand how that process works. It blows my mind every day where they're like, "Oh, I saw your commercial," and I'm like, "That's just an ad because you clicked on the website."
People think it's magic. They're like, I just talked about this. How did it know I want this? It's like, no, your phone came in close proximity to someone else that you texted about something before, and now they know because you clicked on a link. It's not magic. It kind of is magic though.
So what am I supposed to make of this image? You got an upside down 666.
This looks insane.
You got an upside down 666.
We're gonna
with the gun naked.
Where's the holy water?
Well, I assume that's a woman on their knees with a crucifix and
it's definitely not like anti-religious, but I can see why you think that. But I look at it as just a darkness of his creativity. So it's
the baby's got two fingers on the 9. Yeah. He's too small to have just one. It's not enough. He needs 2 to pull that trigger. Here we go.
No, I didn't say it's anti-religious.
Yeah.
There's the 666 upside down.
Yeah, no, I see it now.
Very,
But
very odd.
I didn't look at it even in the detail that you're doing it now. So I appreciate you pointing it out.
Baby's got a heart in his hand with 2 fingers on the 9 because one is not enough for these. Yeah, these are like those powerful beats that like from the early 2000s that I grew up on. This is new?
Yeah, this is I mean, I think this is a year ago, and then he has a new
Wow.
mixtape that's recently out that has some on there as well.
So I guess they're still rapping like in early 2000s style. It's not just that mumble rap.
Well, that's why it's hard to find because you will only find it like if you're following the artist, following like mixtapes and things like that, because
Yeah.
that's really what you would identify him.
Amazing.
I can't even think of a song that he's had on the radio. I'm sure he's had a feature or two, but you wouldn't even recognize it.
Yeah, no, I like it. I haven't heard that one. Haven't heard too much of Ransom, but I've heard him featured on other people's stuff, like Russ. Um,
Yeah.
he's great, man. You could listen to this one over and over and pick up something new every time.
Yeah.
Chris?
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Really? Wow.
Wouldn't be something I would buy. Not even real sure what the message is of the song.
Yeah.
Like probably philosophical banter.
Yeah, I was gonna say that might be a good way to describe it. Yeah, philosophical banter. Yeah,
Yeah, it seemed to have a number of topics, which I
yeah.
guess that would make sense. But yeah, it wasn't the worst rap song I've heard. Dan and I reacted to a few I did not care for at all.
Yeah,
No,
that's true. This is true.
no,
Chris does like Lil
no
Wayne,
sexy red for you.
but he likes 69 though.
Takashi 6ix9ine.
Chris is a huge fan.
Because I know going in it's going to be very negative, and he's just so overblown and over the top, you can't help but laugh.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
This
Yeah.
is true. Amazing.
So.
Well, yeah, there is still good music out there. That Ransom, one of those dudes. It's been around for a while actually.
Yeah, I think we reacted to a song when we first started doing this where he was featured in the song. His name rings a bell, and I don't know a lot about rap.
Maybe Lil Wayne had him on a song. I just saw Lil Wayne,
Yeah.
guys. I was at a in LA in Inglewood, Lauryn Hill concert, and she's notorious for coming out late. And it was 2 hours late. The DJ got tired. Lauryn Hill came out, like hoarse voice. And we're like, oh man, we waited all this time and she's not even gonna like perform well. And she could rap, but she couldn't sing well. And she said, hold on, I got surprises for you. So Lil Wayne came out first, and then Nas came out after. And then they still had the Fugees and they had Cypress Hill come out because it was LA. So it was well worth it. Lauryn Hill put on a show, and that speaks to her clout as an artist, that these people didn't have to come. Nas and Lil Wayne didn't have to come show up for her, but they did. Because
you're big fans of both, so that probably was quite nice for you.
Amazing.
And you were at that show?
Yeah, it was just last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, no, I saw it online. Yeah, it was a really big deal. Yeah, I saw it online. No, that's awesome. That's an awesome event to be at.
Yeah, man. People left. Like maybe 20% of the people left because they were like, "Oh, fuck this," She's singing like hoarse, but no, Lil Wayne Nas came out after, and yeah, it was like one of the best concerts I've seen. So, anyways,
nice.
Shout out to Lauryn Hill, Chad Price. Everybody, go check out the actual podcast, the long podcast. I know you're here for the song, right? But go check out the actual podcast. Link underneath below is amazing. Kettlebell King founder. He wrote this book that I just bought, Preparing for Battle, and we had a really good discussion on entrepreneurship and all this kind of stuff. So go connect. His website's underneath. Chris, give us an outro, or Chad.
Well, Chad, there's nothing else you want us to link to, right? Your LinkedIn or Twitter or X.
I mean, I'm on everything. ChadPrice.com is probably the best way to find me. It's kind of the central hub, but I'm at Real Chad Price on social media, and then Chad Price on LinkedIn and things like that.
All right, awesome. Well, it was a pleasure speaking with you, Chad. Lots of great information. We'll certainly have you up shortly in terms of the video, and from there, I mean, wish you the best. Hopefully you're successful with every endeavor. Oh, I did want to ask. Sorry to cut
Sure.
off that ending. What's the topic of your next book?
I think it's going to still be about business. One day my dream book is like to write like the sci-fi novel is what I really want to get to at some point in my life. But I think it's still going to be kind of a follow-up about business. I think this is a good kind of foundational book to get you started. But I think there's a lot of room for people who are trying to really build communities and trying to figure out how to generate content for their particular niche. So I think I'm gonna try to focus on that in my next book.
All right, one follow-up question. Easier to write fiction or nonfiction, in your opinion?
I haven't really had to write the full book for fiction, so I will probably say nonfiction is harder, just because I think with fiction you can just kind of go off into your fantasy world and get in that creative flow a lot easier.
Fair
Um,
enough.
when I was doing this book, it was a lot of like, is that how that happened? Like, let me go fact check myself quite a
There
bit.
you go.
So, but yeah.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. Chad Price, thank you for being with us. Everybody, take care.